If finding motivation is of concern, you'll want to stick around.
I'm Alema.
I'm G, and this is Manuia Life. So last week we were talking a lot about football, and I couldn't let this subject go without talking about my favorite quote from coach of the Clemson Tigers, Dabo Swinney. And he said, "We give you scholarships, we give you stipends and meals, a place to live, we give you nice uniforms, but I can't give you guts and I can't give you heart. And tonight it was BYOG, bring your own guts." And this quote kind of sets the stage for our topic today, which is motivation.
So motivation it's something inside of you that impels you to some kind of action, impels you to do something. Many people would call it a reason. Other people call it your why as to what motivates you to do something.
Yeah, I love the quote from Coach because he was talking about, the university gives you the scholarships and you get the stipends and a nice place to live. They do so much for you, right? But when it comes down to the wire, when, the rubber meets the road, you're making the next play, it's all about what you bring to the table. And so I think he couldn't have said it better, bring your own guts. And I think that stems from your why.
So in order for us to be successful, and as we're teaching our children, we want to make sure that if we're setting goals, that the motivation is linked to a why that is meaningful to them, that it connects to their emotions. This is what creates positivity and creativity, and will ensure that they will see things to the end as they continue to connect their actions to the reasons why they're going to achieve a certain goal.
Exactly. I feel like as parents, you can tell your kids certain things and you can set it up for them, but at the end of the day, if they're not in it, right, to knock it out, there's only so much you can do. And so I love it that we help our kids kind of drill down and discover what's really pushing them and moving them to want to accomplish their goals. One thing that comes to mind is when I had to go back to work, right? And this wasn't an easy thing for a stay-at-home mom to find the motivation to leave her kids and go back to work. But when I thought about it, that's the whole reason why I was there at work, was to take care of the kids. It was during that time that I listened to a TED Talk, and one of the speakers, Simon Sinek, talked about the why and how important it is to set that in place. He mentioned that companies will know what they do, and they'll even define how they do it, but unless they know why they do it, they really fall short of the potential to reach their ultimate goals. And so I feel that works the same with our children. We know the what as far as they want to play sports or they want to, do well in school. And we know the how. You got to get up in the morning, you got to go to practice after school, you got to hit the books after practice. But if they don't tap into the why, it's really hard to see all of that through, like Alema said.
To see long-term success, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's two types of motivation. There's an extrinsic type of motivation that is based on outside forces on you. Maybe it's a boss that's telling you that you have to do this certain action,
right?
Perform a certain way. So that would be extrinsic. Then there's the intrinsic, which is motivation that comes from within, and it's usually connected to an emotion. And so most of the time as you're setting your why, you're trying to discover what your motivation is, an intrinsic motivation that is going to be long lasting and help drive you towards your goal.
Yeah, I love how you break that down, Alema, because you know, we as parents sometimes play that extrinsic, right, role as far as motivating the kids.
Yeah. We compel them to clean their room. We compel them to achieve certain goals, right? But,
I love that word, compel.
and it's no different from like you're going to work and your boss is compelling you
Yes.
to make these certain amount of sales.
That paycheck is compelling
you
that you
to
need
do
to
these
be there.
tasks that need to get done. And that's okay too, and we have some of that in our lives.
Right.
But if you're choosing your goal and you're choosing the path that you're trying to achieve, it's usually fueled by an intrinsic motivation, usually. And that's going to be the one that carries you through.
Absolutely. That's the gas to the fire, right? Inside of you is that intrinsic motivation to really push you over that alarm clock or that tiredness or that, you know, I'm not feeling it moment right now. And typically what I've learned is in order to drill down to that intrinsic motivation, you need to ask yourself why 5 times. You know, it's not, well,
5 times?
Yeah, five times. And I remember we went to...
That's pretty deep.
It's pretty deep.
But I would imagine that's what it takes.
You know, most people kind of just live on that extrinsic level, right? I got to go to work because I got to get a paycheck, because I got to pay my bills, because I've got kids to feed, you know? And
you always have it in your life.
Yeah. But if you kind of ask yourself why a little more, then you'll be able, well, what's it about your kids? You know, what's it about them?
So it's not enough to just say, oh, I'm doing it for my kids.
Right.
So if I say, my why is I'm doing this for my kids, what would be the process?
Then I would say, why are you doing it for your kids?
Well, I love my kids. They mean everything to me.
Okay. Why do they mean everything to you?
You see where we're getting at? I'm not so sure I want to drill down anymore on the camera, right?
Yes, but, I know. We've kind of been there, done that. But you can feel it.
Yeah.
And that's the whole purpose of motivation, is there's a well of passion inside of you.
And power.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it doesn't really live on the surface. Most of the time we kind of keep that hidden because we're vulnerable and it brings out a lot of emotion. But I do appreciate Alema kind of being our guinea pig there.
I only went too deep. Not ready for all 5.
But you can see that if you set your child aside and you ask them 5 whys, they will be able to access and tap into that power that Alema was talking about as far as motivating and pushing them to do more.
You know, we want to say as well, you know, we say 5 times. It may not take 5 times.
Yeah.
But the more you drill down and aren't afraid to ask it one more time, and it may only take 3 times.
Right.
And that would be enough
to
set it in place, and now it's a rock in your foundation.
So working as an online success coach at Salt Lake Community College, I deal with a lot of students. And what I encourage them to do is to write down their motivation at the beginning of the semester. Because as the semester wears on, things come up, you get tired, it's hard to focus because you've got extra hours at work or long nights with the kids. But it's in putting down their motivation that they're able to tap into that well, right, of power to push them through. Because these goals that you're setting for yourself, they're just not going to come without being motivated and staying motivated. And so that's what I ask them the next time we talk about maybe a grade or a missed assignment, is like, how's that motivation going? And they kind of have to, you know, think about it and really go back and revisit it. So
this is not something that gets decided, you know, one night at family council or in an interview with your kids. It's something to be revisited on a regular basis.
Sure.
So that they're fully in understanding and fully connected as well to their goal and that emotion that's coming from within.
Usually when I talk to someone that lacks motivation, is that passion inside has died, right? and they need to go back to that well and dig a little deeper. I find the students that are engaged and pushing are the ones that dig into that well every day. They're looking at that motivation. They have it on their mirror. They have it in their wall. They may even speak it to themselves, right? In the morning or at night, so that it reaffirms, why am I pushing so hard again? Why am I here at work when my kids are at home and I want to be with them? You know, and without that, it's like you're running on an empty tank. You gotta fuel. You gotta get that motivation.
One of the great ways of doing that on a daily basis is just reviewing your why, reviewing your goals.
Today we shared 3 ways to help your child discover motivation. Number 1, finding their why, understanding what motivates them. Number 2, understanding that motivation can either be extrinsic or intrinsic or both. And number 3, drill down by asking why 5 times so they can tap into that well of power.
So if you like what you've seen, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you in the next video.
Manuia!